The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Would the Mannings ever let Arch Manning play for the Jets? We've heard that topic already being discussed. The guy who has the real answer to that question is about to join us. Longtime NFL reporter and best-selling author Gary Myers joins me. It is the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Wish you could have been a Jet, Fernando.
Let's see what happens.
What's your message to the Jet fans in New York?
Jets, Jets.
A new chapter for the Jets has started. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are tasked with shaping the future of this franchise. Will they be the ones to finally get it right? We will be here for every step of the journey on the Jake Asman Show, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody, here on a Football Friday. We are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're betting on the NCAA tournament, do it with our sponsor, FanDuel. All right, before we bring on our special guest, reminder, the NFL Draft is fast approaching. Just 34 days, 9 hours, 49 minutes, and 40 seconds. But hey, who's counting? We're hosting a draft party free for any fan in attendance in Pittsburgh at McFadden's RSVP. The link to do so is in the description. Again, going to the draft as a fan is free through the NFL, and our draft party is free for anyone who is headed to Pittsburgh to be a part of it. With that, we say hello right now to a good friend of the show, one of the best NFL reporters in the history of New York sports. He's a best-selling author, and he knows all about the Arch Manning situation. It's our guy, Gary Myers, who joins us now. Gary, thanks for agreeing to come on today. Really appreciate it.
Jake, I feel I've been doing shows with you since you were like 12 years old. So I'm happy for all your success.
Well, I appreciate that, Gary. And I'm thrilled you're on because, you know, I'm wearing my March for Art shirt right now. We started printing these as a joke at the beginning of the offseason, and it actually became like a huge seller in my my merch store. But every time we talk about the Jets having 3 first-round picks in 2027, and we make the jokes about the Jets tanking and marching for Arch Manning, there's always a segment of fans who say, well, the Mannings will never allow Arch Manning to ever play for the New York Jets. So you know the Manning family as well as anyone. You're the guy who's making the pitch every year to the Pro Football Hall of Fame voters for Eli to be a Hall of Famer. So I think you are the best possible guest we could have on to talk about this topic. What would you say to fans who say that Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Archie Manning, none of the Mannings would allow Arch Manning to ever play for the New York Jets?
Well, I hate to bring back memories of Aaron Rodgers because he had such an incredible 2 years here, but I'd say RELAX. You know, would you have to figure out what I just spelled? Just relax, Jet fans. I mean, I've done a bunch of reporting on this, and I've been told Arch is just not going to do what Eli did in 2004. The family doesn't want to go through that again, and you know, quite frankly, you know, what's going to be his alternative, really, if he doesn't go to the Jets? Does he really want to go to Cleveland? You know, is Arizona better? Is Miami going to be better? They just tore their team apart. When you think about it, Jake, you know, the Jets facility is about 15 minutes from Uncle Eli's house. You know, the transition from college to the NFL is difficult to begin with. And so having family so close by in a market where his uncle is a forever hero, I think it's actually, you know, a pretty attractive situation. And what you see today from the Jets isn't necessarily what's going to be a year from now. And I just think this whole thing, you know, it's a popular narrative, and it's another way for people to pick on the Jets. Trust me, I've done my share of that over the years. But in this case, I just don't think that Arch is going to say, you know, if you pick me, I'm going back to school, which is what Eli said to the Chargers. So, you know, the other thing I'll just mention this to you. The Chargers didn't want Eli. They wanted Phillip Rivers anyhow, because Marty Schottenheimer and the coaching staff had coached Rivers at the Senior Bowl. And so A.J. Smith, the general manager, just played it perfectly, knowing that the Giants wanted him. So they couldn't get a deal done before the draft. So they took him. And then, it was a little bit of a gamble on the Chargers' part, but they knew with the Giants on the clock, they'd be able to get the deal done. If the Chargers really wanted Eli, if they felt he was the guy, they would have just taken him. I think they would have called his bluff. And I just don't think Arch is going to put – I don't think Cooper and it's Cooper's really is going to be the one that's, really in his son's ear, along with Eli and Peyton and Archie. But I just don't see that scenario playing itself out again 23 years later.
Can you take us back to Peyton Manning deciding to go back to school? Because I think the perception from some is, well, he didn't want to play for the Jets. But my understanding, Gary, it's that Bill Parcells didn't guarantee to Archie Manning that his son Peyton was going to be the number one pick in the draft. What's the real truth about what happened with Peyton way back in the late 90s?
Yeah, I mean, Jake, this is one of the great rewrites of history, of NFL history that's happened in the last few decades. Peyton went back to school in part because he wanted to play for the Jets. He really liked Parcells. Archie liked Parcells. Parcells had just gotten there, if you remember, from New England. And I can't remember what the deadline was for the underclassmen declaring, but it was I think it was a little later than it is now. So Parcells was still feeling his way around. Peyton says to Archie, can you call Parcells and tell me if the Jets are going to tell you if the Jets are going to draft me? Because when I make the decision on whether I'm going back to Tennessee or not, I want to be able to weigh, okay, am I going to play for the Jets? Are the Jets going to trade the pick? Are the Jets going to pass on me? What are the other teams that potentially I could go to? He wanted to make basically an apples to apples decision that, okay, on the one hand, I got Tennessee. On the other hand, I got the Jets. It's not, I got Tennessee on one hand and some NFL team on the other. Well, Parcells, and what was probably, a miscalculation on his part, maybe the biggest mistake that he made in his coaching career was not committing to Archie. He told Archie that he still had a lot of evaluation to go, both of Peyton and of the Jets situation, and he just wasn't ready to commit. What Parcells has told me over the years is that, well, of course I would have taken him, but the league was discouraging us from encouraging underclassmen from declaring. So in other words, the league is saying, if they make the decision to come out, okay, fine, but we don't want you telling them we're going to draft you in order to encourage them to come out. And Parcells was convinced that the league was keeping a close eye on him in particular because of all the, the shenanigans that went on in Parcells leaving New England to come to the Jets. So he thought they were out to get him. So he didn't want to somehow get caught telling Archie, yeah, we're going to tell Peyton. And I said to Bill, I mean, come on. I mean, that's being a little paranoid if that was really your reason. That if you're going to tell Peyton that you're going to tell Archie to tell Peyton, yes, we're going to take you, they're not going to go out and broadcast that. They're not going to get you in trouble if that's what you're concerned about. Jake, as I've evaluated this over the years, I really do think that the main reason is that Parcells hadn't done his homework on Peyton or had done his homework and just wasn't sure he was going to take him. So he didn't want to say yes. I really think there's more truth to that part of it. There's no truth to Peyton going back to school because he didn't want to play for the Jets.
I just find it interesting because that has been the narrative that has formed. And then you have Eli obviously doing what he did with the Chargers, but you provided some unique, context on that whole situation. Yeah. I think the only time you could say Peyton Manning avoided the Jets was when he was a free agent and chose to go to Denver over the Jets. But that's not the same thing as Arch Manning declaring for the draft and the Jets being in position to draft him, which, by the way, for all we know, Arch Manning doesn't even have this amazing season, and he's not necessarily the first QB that gets taken next year. But there's already that narrative that's forming, and I think a lot of it, Gary, and you mentioned it, there's that anti-Jet narrative, and the Jets have done a lot of harm on their own doing, but I don't think it's fair to the Jet organization that we're already starting this thing a year and a half from now that, there's no way the Mannings would allow, Arch to ever play for the New York Jets.
Yeah, I mean, what happened in 2012 was, Peyton clearly had options. And Arch won't have an option if the Jets take him. Even if he doesn't want to come here, he's not going to be able to do anything unless he just threatens to sit out. But like I said, it's not going to come to that. The Jets made a mistake in 2012 when they couldn't get Peyton. They turned around and gave Mark Sanchez, a pretty lucrative extension at that time. I don't remember the numbers, but it was a lot of money, and it was a makeup call to Mark because after taking the Jets to back-to-back AFC Championship games, and I don't remember what happened I know they didn't make the playoffs in 2011. I can't remember how big a step backwards they took that led
them.
We're
8-8. That was the Victor Cruz game, and the Jets haven't been
right. That was 2011, I thought.
Yeah. So
you're absolutely that's right. I'm getting my years mixed up here. Right. So the Jets were coming off the 8-8 season, and Peyton was available. So Tannenbaum got in touch with Peyton, and Peyton didn't have any interest, and then they went ahead and extended Sanchez. And
was that because of the Jet organization, Gary, or that was just, hey, you didn't want to be in the same city as Eli, or he thought Denver with Elway being there was a much more ready to win type of situation? Like, what was the reason why Peyton didn't want to play for the Jets going into that 2012 season?
I would say all of the above. I don't think he wanted to be in the same market as Eli, and I believe that when he evaluated the Broncos roster, that he felt, they were more in a position to get to the Super Bowl, and he was right. I mean, they got there the next year, his second year there, and they got trampled on by the Seahawks, here at MetLife Stadium, and then he won it a couple of years later in the last game of his career. But I mean, that wasn't the real Peyton Manning, if you remember, in those playoffs. He was hurt, and they won that. They got on that Super Bowl ride there strictly because of their defense.
When you think back to just the history of the Mannings and knowing what you know about Arch, is he going to be as good as they say? Like, we're having the March for Arch conversation, but he got out to a bit of a shaky start. Then he finished the year playing at an extreme high level. Is he as good as what the hype is going to be billed for him to be this upcoming college season, in your opinion?
Well, I think he's got a lot of growth left to him. Starting last season, Jake, on the road at Ohio State against the defending national champions, with Matt Patricia now as a defensive coordinator, who he wasn't a good head coach in the NFL, but he's always been a good defensive coordinator. That was a tough spot to make your first start, not your first start, but your first start as the number one quarterback. He had started a couple of games earlier, the previous season, when Quinn Ewers was hurt. But I mean, that's a tough way to break in as the full-time starter at Ohio State, defending national champs. And he didn't play well in that game, and he didn't play well the first half of the season. And people, people love to pick on the Mannings, and it's probably just Manning fatigue. And there were just people who were just waiting to rip him if he didn't play well. So they had a lot of ammunition the first half of the season. I saw a lot of their games last year. I thought he played much, much better the second half of the year. He's got a good arm. He's very athletic, runs it better even than Archie, who was a very athletic quarterback, certainly runs it better than his uncles. I think he's going to be really good. Sarkisian is a very good offensive coach, and I think he's going to have a great season. And if that happens, then he's, I was told, Jake, that if he was in the draft this year, even though he played really one half of good football, that he would have been the number one pick this year over Mendoza. That's a hypothetical because, he didn't come out. I think as long as he has a pretty good season next year, he'll be the number one pick. But we know a lot of things change. Now, you probably follow college football closer than I do. I don't know. We've never really talked about that. But a year ago at this time, had you heard of Fernando Mendoza? I had never heard, right? So look at the things that can change in just 12 months. So that can happen good and bad, where Mendoza shoots to the top of the draft, and other players like Drew Aller at Penn State and Nussmeier at LSU, who, a year ago at this time, if you looked at mock drafts, those were guys at top 10 picks, and now they're going to be, second day picks at the best, and potentially, third day picks. So a lot can change between now and the 27 draft.
And in terms of the Jets, they're in a very odd spot because most of the fan base doesn't have a real belief in the head coach. He won 3 games his first year. He needs to win enough games to save his job, but if they win too many games, they won't be in position to have the number one pick. So if Arch is as good as people think, they won't be in position to even draft him, but they also have 2 other first-round picks, including their own, so 3 total, so they can move up if they had to. There's just a lot of unknown on the direction of the Jets in that 27 draft, because who knows where they're going to be picking and just how many of these top quarterbacks they're actually going to end up being in that first round.
Yeah, let's just say, for argument's sake, it's Arch and Dante Moore from Oregon and Julian Sain from Ohio State, who I know people are high on for next year. So let's say those are the top 3 quarterbacks, and say the top 3 teams in the draft are Arizona, Cleveland, and Miami. And if Miami's that high, it means Malik Willis didn't play that well. And I know he's got a 3-year contract, but they can get out of it after 2 years. And we know Miami is really good at eating a bunch of dead cap space. I mean, they got like $170 million in dead cap money.
They've had a weird offseason, Gary. I don't understand spending big money on Willis and trying to build around him, and then you trade away his number 1 receiver. It's very odd.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but for the point of this discussion, let's say that, the Jets win 6 games and they have the 8th pick in the draft. If there's 3 top quarterbacks, but the team's picking 1, 2, 3, all need quarterbacks, and the Jets having 3 number 1 picks isn't going to do them any good, because none of those teams are going to want to trade their pick if these quarterbacks have completely separated themselves from everybody else and they're all considered, franchise quarterbacks. Then, so Muji's making moves to try to win now. I mean, or at least build a foundation for the quarterback to get a draft in 27. Aaron Glenn is going to do everything he can to win now. I mean, he's got much more of a sense of urgency than Muji, who I think has done a good job. Glenn has to win to keep his job. Winning 3 games this year, I can't imagine, even with the money he's got left on his contract, that he's going to be able to survive another 3-win season. So it's in the coach's best interest to win. It's really in the organization's best interest to lose. And I've never said anybody is tanking. Players, Jake, players don't tank because what are they? They're going to tank so that the team can draft a player next year to replace them? They're trying to put the best stuff on tape that they possibly can, either to keep their job or, if they're going to be a free agent, to get a job somewhere else. So players don't tank. We know Glenn's not going to tank because he's trying to save his job. Now, is Muji tanking by ordering Glenn, if he can, and depends how the contracts are written, who to play and who not to play, like what happened in Las Vegas last year, where Max Crosby wanted to play the last couple of games, and the organization said, no, you're not playing. That's how you tank. But players don't tank, and for the most part, coaches don't, unless they have the security of knowing they're going to be back to next year. But what happens if Muji sits down Glenn and, in December 1st and said, go play an undrafted rookie free agent quarterback like they did with, what was his name, Brady Cook?
Brady Cook, yep.
I mean, the Jets just didn't look like an NFL team in December because they're playing a quarterback just didn't deserve to be on the field. I mean, that potentially could happen again to secure a really high pick, but what is it? Will Aaron Glenn do that if he hasn't been assured that he's going to be back in 27? So there's conflicting agendas here. I know Jet fans don't want to sit there and root for their team to lose every week. It's a long season, 17 games. That's a lot of losing. But would you trade a 2-15 season for drafting Arch Manning or Dante Moore if that bowl game was an aberration and he's actually a really good quarterback? Would you trade a bad year to get your franchise quarterback? Assuming those guys turn out to be, elite quarterbacks, as an observer without an allegiance to any team, I would say I would suffer through one more year if I'm guaranteed of getting my quarterback for the next 10 years who potentially could take the team to the Super Bowl. I mean, what is winning 6 or 7 games next year, which I think is the ceiling for this Jets team. What does that do for the organization long term? Nothing, because then they're in a position next year that, potentially they don't get a quarterback.
It's just a very odd spot because as bad as the Jets have been, especially during this now 15-season playoff drought, they've never picked number 1. And this year, they were worse than the Raiders. Look at point differential. Just you go by the dopey, strength of schedule percentage points, and that's why they're picking 1 and the Jets are at 2. I just don't think this team is going to be the worst team in the NFL. And I get it, things change, injuries happen. But I think the moves they've made in free agency, Gary, this is how you know they're not tanking. They're bringing in guys to try and raise their floor so they could be a much more competitive outlet. And they also have 4 picks in the top 44 where they can infuse more talent onto the team. So unless there's a ton of injuries or Glenn is just truly the worst coach I've ever seen and he shows no improvement whatsoever, I don't think the Jets are going to be as bad as everyone thinks. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but I'm with you. Their win total on FanDuel is 5.5. I think that's right. I think they're between a 5 and 6 win team.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this, then they have made some good moves, and they'll pay off this year with, like, Demario Davis will be really good in the locker room, and Minka Fitzpatrick as well. Davis will be somebody that he's the kind of player they should have brought in. Glenn should have brought in last year to work on the culture, somebody who's familiar with Glenn. They're familiar with each other from New Orleans. So that was a good signing. Is that going to help the Jets win more games, down the road? Probably not. Will it help them win some more games this year? Well, I think the win total is really going to be predicated on how well Geno Smith plays. These players are all good kind of foundation pieces, but the only potential stars the Jets are going to add to the roster for next season are who they're going to draft. At the number 2 spot, they're going to get – well, they should get 4 instant starters out of this draft with 4 of the first 44 picks. And the way Muji's been operating, which I like, he's probably going to make some deals with those. Not the number 2 overall pick, but I can see him moving around with 16. Was it 33 and 44? I can see him trying to turn that into some more draft capital, or even, I've heard some talk about them trying to make a trade like the Giants did with Dart and move up for Ty Simpson. I can't see them taking Simpson at 16. I think they have to take another instant starter at 16. But I potentially can see them, Jake, the first pick in the second round, which the Jets own, is a coveted pick. Teams love that pick because you have overnight and all day the next day until the second round starts to try to figure out, okay, this is the best guy left on our board, how much they really want him. And the team picking first in the second round always gets a bunch of offers for that pick towards the end of the first round and then certainly overnight. So the Jets will have a very valuable second round pick. And if you just use it on the model that the Giants had to get Dart, they traded their 2, which I believe was 5th in the second round last year. So it would have been like 37. And then 2 third-round picks to move up because they loved, Dable wanted to take Jackson Dart 3rd overall. I know that for sure. Instead of Abdul Carter, he wanted to take Dart right there. And then Shane went and made a great trade and got him by moving back into the first round. So if the Jets love Ty Simpson, then I can see them making a trade like that. And potentially a slight chance that they would take him at 16. But that's only if they really love him.
Totally agree, because you've said something interesting, and this is how I've felt, and I think how some of the fan base feel too. I don't believe, despite some of the mixed reports we've had this week, that Glenn and Muji are on the same timeline. I don't think that Muji's the sidekick to Aaron Glenn, like what Woody Johnson initially said at their introductory press conference. I think Muji's distinguished himself. I talk to people around the league, coaching agents, front office people, scouts, and it's all positive about Muji, where it's a totally different type of conversation about the head coach. Do you think, Gary, and maybe based on your answer, we kind of got a feel, do you think there's that real scenario where the general manager's here a year from now and Glenn doesn't win enough games to save his job and there's a new head coach?
Absolutely. I think Muji's earned the right to use those picks in 27. He accumulated them. He's put the Jets in really good position in the draft next year. As far as the report that came out that, now Muji has the power and Glenn doesn't, I don't know that. So I can't confirm or deny that. All I can tell you is it depends what's in the contract. If Aaron Glenn has final say written into his contract, then even though Muji has done a better job than Glenn, then Glenn still has final say if that's in the contract. That could be final say over the roster. At the end of training camp, it could be final say on the roster on a week-to-week basis. It could be final say on trades. It all depends what's in Glenn's contract. If you remember, he got hired before Muji did, and it was kind of a shotgun marriage because he had no connection to him, and he got hired by Tannenbaum and Rick Spielman, and at the time Glenn was considered, a hot coaching candidate because New Orleans wanted him also, or at least they would have had him as a finalist with Kellen Moore. So it's quite possible that Glenn has a lot of power written into his contract. I just, it's hard to get a hold of coaching contracts. You need somebody to tell you. And I haven't seen anything from any of the Jet writers on exactly what's in these contracts. And so even though Muji is the one that's doing the stuff behind the scenes, Jake, it might be in Glenn's contract that he has final say on any of these trades. I just don't know.
Well, I believe Woody said that they're back to the old reporting structure where both guys report to the owner. So that kind of complicates it too. Like, does it even say in either of their contracts who has final say, or does it say, hey, Glenn, you coach the team, Muji's in charge of assembling the roster? I don't know what the specifics are. I just know that's what Woody said at the introductory press conference, that they're back to that reporting structure where each reports to the owner.
Yeah, and that's a really important point because you saw it, not that the John Harbaugh deal was ever going to fall apart. I know there were people saying it was at the end because he wanted to report right to the owners. But, he wanted to do that because that was a setup in Baltimore and what he was comfortable with. But it is an important point that he didn't want Joe Schoen to have final say because he's 17 years older than Schoen and much more accomplished. So why should he report to him? It was definitely different in the Jets situation because you have a first-time head coach and a first-time general manager, and maybe Woody just wasn't comfortable giving either one of them, power over the other, so they're reporting to him. I just be really interested, since I'm not covering the Jets on a day-to-day basis, but if I was, or if I was assigning stories to my Jet writer, I would say, I want you to find out what the power structure is there, how it works, because clearly the general manager, as you said before, has distinguished himself and the head coach hasn't. So can he assert more power now, or is it a collaborative? What is in the contract? That's what I want to know.
It's a great point. Gary Myers is our guest. Hit the like button if you're tuned in. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We got a great giveaway across our shows today. You're going to raffle away a signed jersey by each member of the legendary New York Sack Exchange. Gary, a big reason why Joe Klecko is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I wanted to do a giveaway in honor of that. For those who don't know, Gary, can you explain your role in Joe Klecko being enshrined in Canton?
Yeah, I was on the senior committee for about 5 years, and they rotated it this year. But I always believed that Joe deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. So when I got put on the senior committee, I called Joe and I said, listen, I'm going to advocate for you as hard as I can. I can't promise you'll ever get in. I can't. Well, I started saying I can't promise it'll be the first year, the second year, or that you'll ever get in. Just know that as long as I'm on the committee, you are my number one priority. And so it did take 2-3 years. I'd write letters to the other 8 members of the senior committee, and really push strong for him. And so the year he got in, which I think was 23.
Yep.
Right.
Revis getting in too. It was an amazing Jet weekend.
Yeah, that was fun for all the Jet fans that were there. And yeah, so I that 23 things just fell into place, and I was just so happy for Joe. I mean, he's a really great person. I like him very much, and I only did this because I believed in his candidacy. And listen, I never give myself credit for anything with the Hall of Fame stuff because these players give me a lot of ammunition to make their case. But the fact of the matter is, with the senior committee, we start off with 150 candidates, and there's only 9 of us who were involved in the vote. At least that's how it worked then. Now that they have these other subcommittees, or a subcommittee to the subcommittee. Well, just the year that Joe got in, if I wasn't there advocating for him, it's unlikely that any of the other members would have. And that's one of the fallacies of the committee, is that unless you really have somebody pushing strong for you, it's very hard to emerge from that list of 150. We go from 150 to 50 to 25 to 15 to 12 to 9 to 6 to 3. So unless someone's really pushing for you, I mean, just think about it. There's a lot of great players that aren't in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying they all deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but there's a lot of great players who aren't, who, I'd say of what's left of the seniors now, I can probably pick out 20 players without a problem that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So I was just so happy for when I talked to Joe about it. I said, other than your family, there's nobody happier for you than me, because I know how hard it was to get him to that point. And the fact that he emerged out of that, he deserved it. And I was just happy. Whatever I was able to do to help him, I was just really happy to do. And I'm trying, the same for Carl Banks now, and Everson Walls, and Otis Anderson, and I know Leonard Marshall. I mean, that would be amazing for Leonard if he ever got in. And there are some Jets, just on the modern era committee now with Nick Mangold. He'll probably get a little more traction after passing away. I hate to say it like that, but I think his candidacy will be a little bit more in focus next year. Now, the vote this year was after he had passed away, and I don't think he made it past 50, but Rich Cimini does the Jets now. I switched over to the Giants because Bob Glauber retired from the committee. He was doing the Giants, I was doing the Jets, and then I recommended to the committee of me moving to the Giants, in order to get Rich on the committee, because I know Rich really wanted to be on the committee, and he really deserved it. I mean, he knows Jets history better than I do. So I'm glad that Rich is doing it, and he's going to advocate really strongly for Mangold next year.
Love hearing that, and I was going to bring up Nick Mangold, so that's great. It's good news. We're going to give away that Sack Exchange jersey at the end of our second show, and because of that, I'm going to move our weekly raffle to our Saturday show we'll do tomorrow morning. We're going to give away a signed Curtis Martin helmet. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, a Garrett Wilson signed jersey, and a signed Vinny Testaverde jersey. So make sure you guys enter before this show and our second show ends. I want to shout out Cisco Lopez, who paid it forward by gifting 10 memberships. Here's who got them: Gary DeFlippis, Cowboy fan, Bobby Y, the Omega Man, BJ Junkie, 187_7, Richard Hudson, Daniel Bloom, Mike Freed, all receiving a gifted membership. Hit the Jet chant for Cisco. Couple things I wanted to bring up, Gary, before I let you run. So you brought up Harbaugh, and as a Jet fan, I actually was thrilled that Harbaugh got hired by the Giants, because I really believe he's going to turn it around. I'm already going to pick the Giants to be a playoff team this upcoming year, and I think that is going to drive Woody Johnson absolutely crazy. And my hope is he will be so enraged with watching the Giants be successful, and we know how much he cares about the media coverage of the other team in town. Giants win the Super Bowl, he brings in Tim Tebow. Before that, Giants win the Super Bowl in 2007, he trades for Brett Favre. We know that's how Woody operates at times. I think if Harbaugh is successful, it will force Woody, if Aaron Glenn does not turn it around, to actually hire a legitimate, proven head coach this next go-around. Am I off base in feeling that way? Give me your thoughts on that take.
Well, I know there's certainly a competition and rivalry between the two teams, sharing the same market. I mean, they never come out and say that, but I don't think Woody should be inspired or motivated by what the Giants do. If the Jets stink this year, he's got to make a coaching change. He can't worry that he owes Glenn $10 million a year for another 3 years after this year, because he's just alienating his fan base. And the Jets have loyal fans, and I feel bad for them. I mean, I have a friend who's got 4 season tickets in the Coaches Club that he paid an awful lot of money for the PSLs back when the stadium opened, and he pays a ton of money for those 4 tickets every year. And I go, why? Why don't you take a break for a couple of years? And he goes, yeah, my luck, the year I take a break, they'll go to the AFC Championship game or so. They'll be really good. And he's just sticking with them. And a lot of Jet fans feel that way. So, just for the sake of my friends, I'd like to see both teams being successful, because, I don't have any rooting interest, but, I got a lot of friends who live and die with, like our mutual buddy, Dave Rothenberg from ESPN. He lives and dies with the Giants. I think he's nuts, but it means an awful lot to an awful lot of people. And Woody owns it. So, I've said this before, Jake. I really do think Woody desperately wants to win. It's just he's got no idea how to do it. which is evidenced by the hires that he's made each, the last 10 years, always needing, to hire a consulting firm to assist him in the hires. I mean, they wind up hiring the wrong people. That's what it is that he's just hired the wrong people. It's not that he doesn't want to win. Maybe Muji's the right guy. From what I saw last year, I don't think Aaron Glenn is the right guy. I wasn't surprised he gave him a second year. I'll be shocked if he gives him a third year, unless they make tremendous. I think in order for Glenn to keep his job, I almost think they have to be a wild card team, because you only need to be 10-7 or 9-8 to be a wild card team, which is not a great record, but at least it'll be tremendous improvement. I just don't think going 6-11 or 7-10 it gets it done and earns him a third year. That's my opinion.
What's amazing is 7-10 or 7-9 in 2019. That's the best the Jets have done since 2015 when they won the 10 games with Ryan Fitzpatrick before it fell apart. That last game of the year. I mean, it's just been brutal. And when I say hire a different coach, I think that's obvious that they're awful. But my biggest issue with Woody and why I never was on board with the Glenn hire from the beginning, I was tired of these first-time head coaches from a defensive background. They need to hire either a proven offensive guy, or if you're going to hire a defensive guy, it has to be someone like Mike Tomlin or Sean McDermott, who are both going to be available in the next hiring cycles. That's why I'm thrilled Harbaugh's going to the Giants, because I hope Woody wakes up and goes, I could get Mike Tomlin, blank check, you run the franchise. Like that. That's how I'm thinking as a fan, because again, you keep hiring inexperienced people, and one of the hardest jobs in sports in this media market, you get the same results, especially if you're hiring Glenn and giving him a lot more power than your typical first-year coach would even get.
Yeah, and the one time they ventured off that first-time defensive coach was Adam Gase.
Yeah,
I was smiling because he knew what I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, he was not a first-time head coach, and he wasn't a defensive coach. And unfortunately, Peyton Manning got in Christopher Johnson's ear on that and sold him Adam Gase. It's inconceivable to me that you hire a coach in the division, a coach who got fired within the division, and you hire him. Now, Buffalo did that with Rex, and that didn't work out so well. And then the Jets do that with Adam Gase. I don't know. You hope. I mean, I think the best case scenario for the Jets this year, and I hate to paint a picture of another horrible season, but really I think that the best case scenario for them is to win 2 or 3 games, have the first pick in the draft, Glenn gets fired, bring in Mike Tomlin, bring in Sean McDermott, or whoever the hot coordinator is going into next season, whether it's the guy, I can't remember his name, who just got promoted by Sean McVay. You might remember his name. I don't. He interviewed for the Buffalo and Cleveland job. He's supposed to be one of the next.
Yeah. His name is slipping. I know who you're talking about. And then the other name is Sean Payton stepping down as the play caller in Denver. So Davis Webb could be the OC. Muji knows him from Denver. Samini predicted on my show, if Glenn doesn't improve, that'd be a name to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that. Yeah. But you also wonder, Sean kept him there as the play caller. He made him the play caller in order to keep him there. The Giants might have hired him. There's other teams. Buffalo might have hired him to be the play caller if Sean didn't do that. But how long is Sean going to be able to keep him there? If Denver does a good job this year, he's going to get a lot of. I think he interviewed for the Raiders head coaching job, if I remember correctly. Will Sean be able to keep him? And is that going to lead to Sean saying, well, if they do really well, will he step down to make so Davis stays there? I don't know. These coaches can be so mercurial that maybe Sean thinks, well, I'm setting the Broncos up for the next 10 years. We don't want to lose Davis Webb. He's going to be a superstar, and he'll step aside. Maybe he does that if the Broncos get to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's going to be an interesting situation to keep an eye on.
Super chat here that is from Doc Jetfed that I wanted to read. He's in our raffle for 2. Wow, Gary Myers giving a master class in illustrating the difference between rendering an educated, well thought out opinion versus the lazy shooting from the hip approach. So well done, Mr. Myers.
Nice. I'd like to say I know that guy, and that's why he's saying that, but I don't know who that is.
One of my great listeners. Well, Gary, I appreciate you coming on and sending the record straight on Arch Manning. But again, for anyone tuning in, I'll ask you the question. If the Jets are in position to draft Arch Manning, you believe that there is no way Arch would pull any funny business and avoid trying to play for the Jets?
I'll say it like this. If the Jets are picking first and they've identified Arch Manning as the player that they want to build their future around, I'm saying right now, 100%, he will say thank you very much, and he'll have a press conference in Florham Park. The only thing that can change this is if the Jets don't have the first pick, or if Arch has a really poor season, that his stock has just slipped tremendously, that they just can't take him first overall. But if he's Peyton, if he's Eli, who is identified as the first pick in the draft, and the Jets have that pick, the Jets will take him, and he will come and play here and will not complain about it.
Gary, appreciate you hopping on. I know you have a book that's coming out. You'll announce that, coming up in a little while here. But your most recent book is an Amazon bestseller, Once a Giant. I see behind you the cover there. Tell the audience about that, or anything else that you want to mention on the way out.
Yeah, I know you get mostly Jet fans on here, but this book really is about the '86 Giants, and how they formed a brotherhood, and how 40 years later, which is now the 40-year anniversary, the bond is still incredibly tight, and they take care of each other. So even if you're not a Giant fan, the stories really pertain to players from that era and what they're going through now. So, the '86 Jets, the '86 Bears, whatever, all these players are going through the same thing, physically and emotionally and financially. And what makes the Giant story really unique is that they stayed a really tight-knit group, and they rally to each other. Whoever's in need, they really rally to each other to try to help them out, whether it's just emotional support or in many cases financial support.
Gary.
And I was just going to say, with the 40-year anniversary this year, my book came out in September 23, Jake. So with the 40-year anniversary this year, I'm going to try to do like a second release date on that book.
You got to do some live shows at ESPN New York for different bookstores. Tell John Winthrop about that idea.
That's a great idea.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Gary. This was a lot of fun. I've been reading you my entire life, basically, as a football fan. So it's great to be friendly with you now, friends with you, and work with you over at ESPN New York. So this was a lot of fun.
Well, hey, just answer one question for me. How old were you the first time I did your radio show?
Probably a freshman in college at Ithaca.
I remember you were on the island, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Syosset on Long Island. We had a high school radio station then, but the phone lines never worked, so we never could do guests. So it was probably at Ithaca College the first time I had you on one of my college radio shows. Yeah,
and then I remember you had me on, and you were on a Long Island station for a little bit, right?
Yes, I did like an internet show in Ronkonkoma.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then I remember you went to Houston for a while. So I remember after you were on the first time, you were just a kid, and I'm saying, I got to keep an eye on where this guy winds up because he knows what he's doing. So like I said before, I'm really happy for all your success. And hopefully maybe we can do an ESPN show together at some point too.
Would love that. Appreciate you coming on, Gary. Enjoy the weekend.
All right. Have a great day, Jake. Take care.
Gary Myers with us there. So there you have it, Jet fans. The March for Arch, it's on. Assuming the Jets are in position to take Arch, and Arch holds up his end of the bargain. JakeAsman.com if you want your shirt. We also have Tanking for Arch tank tops available. We got the Tank for Arch shirts, the March for Arch shirts, and the Tank for Arch tank top. And again, if the Jets are in position to take him, he'll be a Jet. And I've been saying that, and I've referenced Gary's reporting on this, and now you heard it straight from him on the show. If you buy a shirt, by the way, during this live stream, I will put you in our raffle for 5. It's jakeasman.com/shop to get yours there. All right, we got voting for Asmaniac Madness coming up shortly here, and we got quite the doozy in today's Asmaniac Madness matchup. So let's set the stage, shall we? Here we go. We're making our way through the extraordinary region. Yesterday, Amanda Madison defeated Jordan on the first show, and the Chuck Wagon defeated Paul Faz during our second show. We completed the inside-outside opening round, the Dangerous Alliance opening round. We're making our way through the extraordinary region, and that brings us to the 4 versus 13 battle this morning. One Punch Dave Briga, the 4 seed, against the 13th seed Tommy OG Jet Fan. Your vote determines who advances to the next round. Ladies and gentlemen, voting in Asmaniac Madness is underway.
Who's gonna be the best of the bunch? Asmaniac Madness. You get to pick the ones that make the show walk.
What a battle. Vote, 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 baby. Let's go. Hit it. The actual NCAA tournament, the first round getting underway yesterday, more games today. We're presented by FanDuel. How about a March Madness themed parlay for you? 4-leg parlay, $10 wagered, wins you $142 plus 14.26 odds. Kentucky on the money line against Santa Clara. Villanova on the money line against Utah State. Clemson on the money line against Iowa. And Missouri on the money line against the U of Miami, Florida. That is a 4-leg parlay that you could make the wager over at FanDuel or make your own bet on the NCAA tournament with our sponsor, FanDuel. Again, shout out to FanDuel for sponsoring our show. Some super chats I want to hit, and then I want to talk about an exciting announcement we made at the end of the show yesterday, and I've been posting about it across social media. Chris B starts us off. Is Will McDonald an ideal player to shop for a premium pick since we'll be in a 3-4 base D? Maybe draft a guy that could be a big part of what we're doing. So they could shop him, Chris, but then you got to replace him. Where are you replacing the production? I don't think Will McDonald is a bad player. I think last year he was in a bad situation and was poorly coached, which is ironic because Glenn pounded his chest about how he was going to be able to coach up guys, and Will McDonald was actually the poster boy for the player that he was referencing in this infamous clip.
Coaching. It's coaching. Because he can do it. It's just coaching. That's all it is.
The Jets have a real D-line coach now in Carl Dunbar, who is great at coaching guys in a 3-4. I would keep Will McDonald because I think you'd be selling him off right now, Chris, when his value's at its lowest. What are you really going to get for McDonald, a third or a fourth? I'd rather keep McDonald. They'll pick up the 5th-year option. I got control over him for 2 more years. He's a guy that has had double-digit sack seasons. He's explosive. If the Jets are in position to play with more leads, better coached, he's a guy that I think can help you. So I wouldn't trade him because then you got to replace him again. Phantom Green and White with a super chat. He is in our Asmaniac raffle for 2. Signed Sack Exchange jersey is the prize for those of you who tuned in late. Can Arch handle the hype he would receive as the Jets starting QB? I personally think he could, as he's shown the ability to handle the expectations at Texas. Plus, Beast would be his ice tub coach. Well done. So here's what I would say about that. I think it's really impressive that Arch Manning had all the hype around him. He didn't play well against the best defense in the country in their first game. Remember that Ohio State game? Turns out Ohio State had Arvell Reese going 2, Sonny Styles going in the top 5, and Caleb Downs going in the top 10 all on that defense. And an NFL defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia. And by the way, we all love Fernando Mendoza for how he played in the clutch against Ohio State, but they only scored, 14 points in that Big Ten championship game? And that's the guy who's going number 1. Like, people were so quick to just attack Arch and say he stinks, he's overrated because his last name is Manning. And if you're the quarterback of Texas, and I could speak to this as someone who did afternoon radio in Houston, Texas is the closest thing you could get to basically being like a pro football team in college. They have their own TV network. The entire city of Austin, that is the team, Texas football. And he handled all that. And by the end of the year, he was playing the best quarterback. He was playing at the highest level of any quarterback in college football. I think he can handle New York. His last name is Manning. He's got the right temperament. He's got Eli and Peyton to help mentor him. I think it would work. Steven in the raffle for 2. Thanks for supporting the show, Steven. Steven Stoller, MD1. J-Boy gifted a channel membership. Let's go, Jay. Kyle Clifton says, sitting with a signed Hall of Fame Klecko jersey in the office. Well, Kyle, how about a signed jersey by each member of the legendary New York Sack Exchange? Shane wants it. He's in the raffle for 2. Thanks for the super chat, Shane. Let's get to your calls coming up shortly, but how about this from Steven, who says, being new to the group, I'd like to introduce myself. Jet fan since the Polo Grounds and training camp at Peekskill Military Academy. Wow. You talk about long and suffering, Steven. That's you. Appreciate your support and welcome to our community, man. That's an OG right there. Call in, Steven. Rat Diddy in the raffle for 4. Gary Myers, all class. Great stuff. Mr. Dave Brigga is the man. Vote for the legend. Rat, you're the man. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Dave Brigga and Tommy OG in battle right now. Right now, it is all one punch Dave Brigga off to a 76-24 lead in this morning's battle. This afternoon, will JJ come out of hiding in the 6 versus 11 battle against Lou B? JJ has not called in since we pulled the receipt of him saying before the Jets season started, he'd shave his head if they don't make the playoffs. He called in. We called his ass out. Hasn't called in since. What will he do this afternoon? Will he duck the Asmaniac community or try and come out of retirement? That's the question many have. All right, let me talk about an exciting announcement, and I'll have more info on this as we get a little closer. But we announced it at the end of the show. I went in depth on this for anyone who's on my Patreon and joined the Discord. But I am a part of a brand new weekly Jet show that will debut this Tuesday. It's called the Jets Collective. It features me, ESPN Jets reporter Rich Samini, and longtime New York sports personality BT Brandon Tierney. Tuesday at 7, we're streaming live on YouTube on a brand new channel called the Jets Collective. The show will be available on all podcasting platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and more. It is going to be a blast. I have immense respect for Rich. He's the longest tenured Jets beat reporter ever. He frequently comes on both my YouTube show and my radio show. I've known BT from working in New York radio, and we've had him on this YouTube show. Great guy. I think this will be really cool. I don't think there'll be a show that has the unique perspectives the three of us will have. So I'm pumped about this. This will be starting Tuesday at 7. It will likely be Tuesday going forward. I know in season it will be on Tuesdays, but it's going to be a once-a-week Jet show. It'll be interactive. You guys can ask your questions. And the three of us, every week, we'll have a roundtable discussion on everything going on with the Jets. So we're starting this Tuesday with our first show. BT's in San Diego right now because he's the radio analyst for St. John's. So we had a meeting yesterday, and he was sitting by the pool, which I was very jealous of. But I'm excited about this. Here's how you guys can help support the new venture. YouTube needs you to have at least 1,000 subscribers so you can monetize the channel. So we got some great sponsors that are already on board for this. Shout out to Hog Media for working with us on this. But if you guys don't mind, I just posted the link in the live chat, and I will put it in the description for those not watching live when I get done here. Make sure you subscribe to that new YouTube channel because you'll see all the content originating from that channel. We haven't even launched the show yet, and we almost have already 400 subscribers. So check it out. I think it's going to be awesome. And you guys, I think, are in for a treat. I think we'll have a lot of fun. So appreciate all the support already. And I think this will be a really fun show every single week on YouTube and then podcasted after the fact. With that, let's get to some of your calls. And first up today is the Rooster. Hello, Rooster.
Hey, how we doing today on NCAA Friday? A great day as always.
Oh, it really is, man. It really is.
I want to throw something out there thinking about the draft and the Jets quarterback situation that for 50 years we're going on, 50, not being able to find a quarterback, okay? Now, we found Sam Darnold. It didn't work. For whatever reason, we have not been able to get it right. We're sitting here now in the next 2 years with 9 draft picks in the first 3 rounds between 26 and 27. That gives us an ability to build your roster and what I think to finally find or attempt to find a quarterback. So what I mean by that is if the Jets feel Ty Simpson is the guy and want to trade into the first round to grab him, not saying it's 16, but you could argue at 16, you have to do it, okay? And that does not stop you now in 27 from once again taking a quarterback again.
Here's how it could, though, Rooster. What if Ty Simpson's okay this year, and then you have a new coaching staff that comes in, and all of a sudden they don't know? Do they want to stick with Ty?
Okay. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm still taking a quarterback next year with one of these picks, and I'm letting them fight it out. And I know salary cap and this and that. I don't care anymore. We need to think a little outside the box. We need to find a quarterback. And if it's Ty, or if it's Ty then becomes a backup, or if Ty then is the better than the guy we take next year, Jake, what we've been doing just hasn't worked. And yet this is the why we could do it. Muji was so great. We could still take other players. It's not like we're taking a quarterback only round one and then taking a quarterback next year. We're desperate.
What if they don't believe in Ty Simpson?
Well, I'm just saying, if they love Ty Simpson, I
think they'll take him then. But I don't get the sense that they love him. I think they like him. I'd be surprised if they took him at 16. I think they like him enough to use a second-round pick on him, because that's not as cost prohibitive and doesn't set you up where you have to play the guy. You could truly redshirt him if Geno's playing well, or if he gets in and is okay. That doesn't stop you from being able to draft another quarterback in 2027. I
don't think Ty is getting out of the first round. So if you traded back in, like Gary said, I'm all for it. And then do it again next year. Why not? Who cares? Have two young quarterbacks in that thing, and let's see, because we might not be able to trade up. So you might not get the one guy, but you might be able to get a great quarterback. And we're desperate. We're desperate. I think desperate times. We have an opportunity to build the roster, get two young quarterbacks the next 2 years. I think it's important. I do.
I understand the argument. You can't force the quarterback pick, though, Rooster, and you're just glossing over how big of an investment the 16th pick in the draft is.
Again, you have to love Simpson. I've heard, again.
I like him, but also he's made 15 career starts. He'd be an outlier if he was really, really good.
But you know what? I'm not glossing over 16 and 33. We you go through the years, you miss on these picks. If all these picks around, great. If we don't have a quarterback, it doesn't mean anything.
I agree, but you can't just force it. If Ty Simpson, you don't have strong conviction. And also, the human nature plays a part in this too. If you're Darren Muji and you don't need to take a quarterback, unless you're in full-blown love with the guy, why would you start the clock on your potential timeline if you take Ty Simpson at 16?
Because I think you can take a quarterback again next year.
He might not. They're awful, and Ty doesn't look great. That hurts Muji's case to be brought back.
I'm not saying you have to rush Ty this year at all.
Yeah, but then
you have Geno.
Okay, but if you don't play Ty at some point, right?
You're going to play him at some point, right?
Right, but how many games does he have to play for us to have some sort of evaluation on what he is to determine if it's still worth taking a quarterback in 2027? It's why you need probably more than 5 games to see him play well before you know if you got a guy.
I'm just saying, whatever we've done the last 50 years just hasn't worked.
Yeah, because of decisions like this. That's how you end up with guys like Christian Hackenberg in the second round.
This is different because you're still taking other players. It's not like you have one pick in the first round of each year. You're taking players, but we have to find a quarterback. We have to take chances.
No one disagrees, but you don't need to take the chance this year if you don't have
next
pure
year,
belief in the guy.
My point is, I'm not sure if this guy's going to be it or next year's. I want 2 cracks.
You don't think that next year's class is going to be better than this year's?
It is, but that guy still might not. We still might. All the guys that you draft quarterbacks, they don't always pan out.
Agreed.
That's why I want 2. That's all I'm saying.
But you're basically saying you're willing to just light the 16th pick on fire potentially.
That's not on fire. No, listen. You have to like Simpson. If you don't like Simpson at all, forget it.
What if they like him? They don't love him.
Then no, if you don't
this
love
is my
him,
point.
No.
That's my point. You can't take him
unless you say they love him and they take him.
Okay, if they love him, Rooster, here's what needs to happen. They need to build everything around Ty Simpson. They need to make sure that he is in a plan where he's developed and he gets a chance to play at some point the second Geno Smith shows he doesn't have it or the Jets are 2-5. Because you have to give him a chance. And I just don't know if Aaron Glenn trying to save his job is the right coach to oversee the development of Ty Simpson.
I just hate that.
You mitigate the risk at 33. He might be there at 33. I happen to think he is going to be there in the second round.
I think Muji, I think Aaron Glenn is inconsequential. We have to build the best over the next 5 years of this, the best way to find a quarterback. That's all I want to do is find a quarterback. And if I miss on Simpson this year, Okay, I go take one next year. I'm still getting Arvell Reese. I'm still getting 2 other picks. I mean, it's not like it's 1 and 1 only. Then I would tell you, Rooster, hang up the phone. What are you, crazy? You can't do it. But I don't know. We're in a great spot to take a shot. We got to take some swings and still build. You still have picks. That's all.
I think they'll take a swing at quarterback. It just might not be at pick 16. It could be on day 2, could be on day 3.
Again, if they love, but my whole point is they love.
You
Ty
love Simpson? Do you like him? You want him at 16? Ty Simpson, like you're a believer. He's your guy.
I love Tyson. If Tyson's there from Arizona State, I'm running. But I could live with Simpson. I could take a crack, Jake.
Okay, but I could live with him as not. Yes, I need.
I don't know enough. But I'm saying.
The Jets need to have conviction the way Brian Dable had conviction in Jackson Dart, that he wanted to take him at 3 and the GM wouldn't let him.
Maybe they do, just because we're all screaming we don't like. Maybe they do. But my point is, if they take Simpson, you could still take a quarterback next year. That's all I'm saying. They take him at 16. You're not saying I'm done. That's it. Ty's my guy. You could still find out. You know what? I didn't love Ty as much. I'm taking a quarterback again next year.
Yeah, but what happens if, in typical Jet fashion, he's just okay, and now we have a huge debate like we had with Darnold versus Wilson?
He's just okay. I'm taking a quarterback, and if Ty Simpson's my backup for the next 5 years, so be it. We are desperate to find a quarterback.
You say this as if I don't know this. I understand.
But Jake,
but you can't.
But you're not going to get him if you don't draft him. You don't take chances. I don't want it limited on just one quarterback the next 2 years. I might want 2 shots at it.
But why does it have to be in the first round this year? Why can't it be in the second round this year, or
because
they acquire a third round?
A lot better than any of the other quarterbacks. That I do think. The Asmaniac and all these guys. That I do think.
So if that's the case, I'm an advocate of either taking him at 33, which I think there's a chance he does actually get there.
Definitely. If he's at 33, you're running to take him 100%.
I would take him then, yes. Okay. And then I'm also open to the idea of potentially moving back into the first round just to beat the Cardinals to it if they're in on Simpson, and taking him with a late first round pick.
And let me just end this with one thing. Jerry McNamara to the Qs. What a day yesterday. Let's go, babies. G-Mac to the Qs. Almost beat that dude. Bring back the great G-Mac. Let's go.
He might be the only hope for Syracuse basketball at this point.
We'll be okay. Brian Hoskins. You see his wife? She wasn't coming back up to Syracuse, New York. You ever see his wife? Google her. That body needs to be in a bikini and not up in Syracuse snowy weather. Jake, you're the best.
No one wants to go to Syracuse, New York, unless you're from there or you went to the school. I went to Ithaca. Believe I know all about Central New York.
Fair. Be good, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rooster.
What? Calm your freaky down.
What a call. I love Rooster's passion, man. He's always all over the place, but I think his phone calls are awesome. Hit the like button after that. Wow. Spectacular. Again, I'm telling you, I really like Ty Simpson. I can't get over how big of an outlier he would be with the amount of starts he's made. Like, don't we have to look at data? You can mitigate the risk if he's in the second round, and then it doesn't hurt you if you were to move on. But that's a big risk. More of your calls right now, ladies and gentlemen. The number 1 overall seed is next.
First, I'd like to get in front of the shit I'm going to get in the chat for actually wearing this shirt. I knew that you were having Myers on today. I guess I didn't really fully appreciate how much the talk was going to be about Arch. And the nurse who runs the affairs of the house had this clean T-shirt up top the pile this morning when I put it on. First thing, I get up quite early, as you know, as an older person. But yeah. This is just a mere coincidence, but hopefully we're able to secure his services.
I'm all for it. I'm telling you, I believe wholeheartedly in what Gary is saying there. Think about who his source potentially is, right? He is presenting Eli Manning's case to Hall of Fame voters every year. He meets with Eli every year to give them updates. He stays in touch with them. year-round. He knows the entire Manning family. He's getting it directly from the Mannings that they're not going to pull any funny business that the Jets would be in position to draft Arch.
Well, and the environment's changed a little bit in the last 20 years, right? Like, I think the mobility to do that with some of the slotting and stuff has kind of changed.
Yep.
But like that kind of brings me to Rooster's comment. Nelly said it best. It must be the money. Like, if we're going to commit first-round money to a quarterback in the middle of the first round and then bring on another one next year, the people who are all over like allotment of resources to the offensive line, they should be all over that as well, right? Like, it does seem like you are kind of setting that on fire, although I appreciate what he's trying to say. Keep on taking swings. That's why I was interested in front-loading a contract from Malik Willis, right, that you might be able to walk away from. You give him the year to audition, and then if you have to deal with that money in year 2 or year 3, or it's lesser money or it's backup money in following years, you can live with that. But like, to have those two guys on the roster for the better part of 4 years together, with one of them not being able to show his wares, I don't think is fair to one of the players, and I don't think that really, helps you as far as building the team. My personal opinion. And the last thing I wanted to say is, I love going to school in Central New York. It's tremendous. Syracuse is a great college town. I think it wrecked my sinuses forever. But like, I'd have a lot of friends that are SU fans. They are dead set against McNamara going back and being the coach of the team for whatever reason. I don't really vibe with them on that. Now that Lemoyne is Division I, they can all go scratch. I'm hoping Lemoyne beats them every possible encounter.
I just don't know who Q's could hire. Like, it's not an attractive job. Boeheim made that place what it is. It's hard to get top recruits to want to spend winters in Central New York. Like, it's not, and they don't have as much of an NIL budget as some of these other schools do as well. What Syracuse should do is go back to the Big East. That would help.
Well, the environment's changed. Like, for whatever reason, 30 years ago, they used to get the best players.
It was a Boeheim, and it was different then. You didn't have an NIL. You didn't have the rules that are now in place.
Right. Because I would go out to Marshall Street and you would see like LaRon Ellis and DC and Billy Owens and those guys, out at the McDonald's there or whatever. And you got the sense that they were somehow being compensated because they were buying for themselves and the entourage or whatever. But it's a different world right now. I'm sure at some point Syracuse will experience a renaissance. For some reason, the people who are a little bit more familiar with their program than I am are dead set against McNamara. I don't get it. But let's continue on with this tremendous Jets show, and congratulations on the Jets collected, Jake. I will talk to you in the afternoon.
Kyle, I love it, man. Appreciate your support. Love your March for Arch shirt there. Outstanding. More of your calls right now. Doc Jet fan joins us now. Hello, Doc.
Yeah, good morning. Listen, Mazel Tov. Congratulations on the new show. Can't wait to watch that show.
Appreciate that.
Quickly on Rooster, what I disagreed with, he said the Jets have been looking for a quarterback for 50 years. Not so. Richard Todd was more than good enough to win a Super Bowl. They were the best team in the Mud Bowl in '83. I know because I was there. He had an historically bad game. Ken O was there in '86 when he beat Denver on Monday night to go 10-1, and then they fell apart. But we've had quarterbacks, and you had Chad, I guess, in your day. He was pretty good.
Yeah, Chad when was healthy. I mean, they made the playoffs every year. He was healthy pretty much. I mean, Herm made the playoffs 3 times in 5 years.
Yeah, no, he did play to win the game. What I wanted to talk about, though, was Gary Myers. And I think with his segment, which I thought was phenomenal, it goes to show you that there's no substitute, no disrespect to you or any other podcaster, but there's no substitute to a locker room reporter. The relationships that he made and the information that he gets, it's just second to none. I love the segment. And you know what? He should be knighted for no other reason than getting Joe Klecko into the Hall of Fame For your younger listeners that didn't see Joe Klecko, in my opinion, I think he was the best Jet that ever lived. Joe Namath notwithstanding, he was the most talented player I ever saw. I don't know who to equate him with in today's NFL. Maybe Myles Garrett. The guy I probably would have equated him with was Aaron Donald. But I can't tell you. First of all, the guy made the Pro Bowl at 3 separate positions. Nose tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle. They're sort of the same positions. But, back when the Pro Bowl wasn't just about playing ping pong or whatever they do now, it was people had it written into their contracts. If you make the Pro Bowl, you get more money. There was a special on Joe Klecko, and the best way to hear about how good he was to talk to his opponents. Probably the best offensive lineman of all time is John Hanna. Listen to what John Hanna had to say about Joe Klecko. He hated to play against
Anthony
Joe Klecko.
Munoz as well. I've heard him talk about.
And
Klecko.
Munoz, that's exactly right. Both those guys, the goats. He was. I don't know what to tell some of the younger guys that didn't get to see him. Yeah, the Jets had very good offensive line with Salam and Gastineau and Marty Lyons. But Klecko was in a for him not to have made the Hall of Fame without getting a little extra push, it would have been the biggest sin. So Gary Myers was great, and I appreciate what he did for Joe Klecko. It's funny. Joe Klecko owned a trucking company in Trenton. He used to play in a softball tournament every year in Flemington. And we used to play against. So I used to wear 73, and he used to make fun of me. He said, "You look like my 10-year-old son." But he was such a nice guy, such a great player, so humble. So kudos to Gary Myers. Kudos for you for having him on the show. Thanks, Jake.
Doc, great call. Really appreciate the kind words there. And look, Klecko is rightfully in the Hall. What hurt Klecko and why it took so long, I remember covering this when we were doing all the shows leading up to his induction, having all these people on who played with him or teammates of his and all that. The Jets didn't win a Super Bowl, and they weren't always getting a lot of publicity, nationally televised games, right? Like, it was a time where you didn't have the Red Zone channel. You didn't have the Sunday Ticket. You only could really see your team in your market. You didn't have as many nationally televised games and all these different packages. So if you were like a great player, you didn't always get the spotlight because it's not like the Jets were always going to the playoffs with those teams and going deep into the playoffs and Super Bowl runs. They had moments. Doc brought up the Mud Bowl. We're not allowed to say A.J. Dewey growing up in the Asman household. There were moments, but that's what ultimately hurt Klecko, that he didn't play on the Cowboys or the Steelers or even the Giants, right? Like that was part of it. It was different. But I'm glad he's in. I think the next Jet that should be in is Nick Mangold. And let's hope that he will be. And I believe he was a Hall of Famer, and this was before he passed away, but now there's more, obviously, attention on it. And I love that for Nick's family more than anything else, for them to have that day where they see him honored. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, your super chats, cut the line. Speaking of Klecko and the Sack Exchange, that's our giveaway at the end of our second show. Weekly raffles moved to tomorrow. I'm doing a Saturday show, plus I'm doing a Twitter giveaway as well, so it's just easier for me to do all the giveaways on one show. Testaverde, signed jersey. Garrett Wilson, signed jersey. And Curtis Martin, speaking of the Hall of Fame, signed helmet are the top prizes in the raffle. All right. More of your calls right now. Joining us live from Rickleball Madness. That's right. You're probably thinking, what? What's that? Well, that is a pickleball matchup featuring the morning show on ESPN New York. Former Islander goaltender Rick DiPietro and morning radio host Dave Rothenberg, and PBM is there.
Purple Belt Mike, he loves the Dark Knight. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that Purple Belt Mike. Purple Belt Mike, it might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Oh, fuck. Yo,
Look
so
at this.
my phone's at 10%, so I'm not going to be here long, but look at them play right now. This is awesome. Let's go.
Who are they playing?
So this is a professional pickleball. It's a professional pickleball place in Medford. So there's like pros here and whatever. So there's a tournament, and they got these shirts down there that say, "I beat Rick and Dave," or "I got beat by Rick and Dave." So it's pretty cool.
Who's better, Rick or Dave?
Rick is phenomenal. Dave is good, but I mean, Rick's a professional athlete. Rick's better, but Dave's really good too. Dave is no slouch.
Yeah, right.
Rick
I mean,
is unreal. Rick is so good.
He's a freak. I mean,
Yeah, he really
Rick
is.
also keeps himself in amazing shape too for a guy that hasn't played in the NHL in years.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my phone's down to 5, so I'm popping off. So I'll catch you guys later.
All right, send them my best. Tell them I hope they won.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, PBM.
Asmaniac Madness is underway. Make sure you vote to make your voice heard.
Update in poll voting right now. One Punch Dave Brigga is cruising to victory. 77-23 the score. It's looking like it will be Brigga versus the Chuck Wagon in the round of 32. Again, JJ and Lou B this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, Saturday show, Mr. Bonesy, the defending champion, in action against Michael Levinson. The 7:10 on Monday, first show, Barbarossa and Jets Jesus. Monday, second show, Black Gypsy and Coach Obrick. Tuesday morning, Gorman, Robert C. Tuesday afternoon, Sean, Andrew C. Wednesday morning, V-Man, Genergy. Wednesday afternoon, Big Cho, Jason in Jerusalem. Thursday morning, King Lowski and Raven. Thursday afternoon, PBM, Jack Straw. Friday morning, Party with Peg and Artie. Friday afternoon, the Midnight Bros, Bobby versus Mikey. That's 1 week from today. Your advanced look at the Asmaniac Madness schedule. Speaking of the Midnight Bros, ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is...
Hi, everybody. This is Bob from Vermont. I am Bob, of course. Hi, Jake. How you doing today?
Bobby Nine Toes. How are you?
Very good. I went to see Dr. Wakani today.
And?
He said my toe is beginning very good. He said about 2 more weeks it should be healed. 2 weeks he gives it. So that's good. So how you doing?
I'm good, Bob. You know, hanging in, doing a show here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be about the Tuesday show. What I like the guy you're gonna do it with, Brendan Tierney. I like that guy so much.
BT?
I didn't like his other partner. What? Yeah. I didn't like his other partner. He did it. You know who I'm talking about.
Salicata?
I'll give you a clue. He played for the... No. He used to play for
that was his most recent
Giants.
partner. Before that, he worked with Tiki Barber. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one I don't like at all. No, I don't like him. Yeah,
Hey, I
he
got a
played
question
for the
for you.
Giants, but he's a real...
When they amputated your toe, what did they do with your angry toe?
I know. I don't know. I forgot to ask them. Yeah, Angry Toe, yeah. Who wrote... Is that Gary? And Gator put that on? That's funny. I'll take that. So let's go St. John's today, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bobby... What? Oh, Bobby... yeah, I got rid of the Angry Toe, yes. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm not angry right now. I'm happy. I feel good. Guess what today is?
What's today, Friday?
First day of spring. Yeah.
Thank you
First
for
day
that.
of spring.
Yeah.
And then when you have your show, can we call in or no? Is it call in?
Not initially, but you could super chat.
Oh, okay. When you talk about, yeah. No, I'm going to pay attention on that show. You 7 o'clock at night, right? You said on Tuesday?
Oh, yeah.
You're a busy man. You know that?
That's
You're
right.
Really do you still do Sundays with the Jets guy or no?
I don't do Sundays with the Jets guy, Mike Tannenbaum, because the season ended.
Okay, then okay, that's why you're doing
Gator
this.
writes
Tuesday,
in. We all need to chip
I
in to
wasn't
get
so
Bobby a
good.
new computer so we don't have to see him this close up.
Yeah, I know, right? No, I should be able to get a new computer. I'm getting my taxes and so.
Oh, the
I could
taxpayer
get that
money.
when
I
I
know
get-
who's not going to be thrilled about that.
Who's that?
Women need to vacuum. and shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Gary,
Round-
Texas won.
They did. They almost blew it. They had up 9 with 3
Yeah.
minutes left, and they needed to come back. Oh, yeah. They're not very good, but they keep winning.
Well, look at the
I guess.
upsets. What happened yesterday? There were a lot of upsets yesterday, so you couldn't believe that. High
Yeah, I thought
Point
Duke was
beat
gonna
what
follow
team
it.
yesterday?
Wisconsin. High Point
Oh,
beat
I
Wisconsin.
wish they did. I was so angry when they came back. I was like,
That's
oh,
an upset
that
in
team.
name only, than seeding only, though. A lot of people picked High Point to win, and they had that little white kid that didn't hit a 2-pointer all season, and then hit the game-winning layup on a
Oh, really?
break. First 2 points. Yeah, he hit 63
They're
shots
from
all
North
season, and they were all
Carolina. You
threes.
know that? They're from North Carolina, too.
So,
that
yeah, I think so.
college.
I think so.
I didn't know that. I looked that up. So there's really, well, now North Carolina got knocked out. The Tar Heels.
Gary, what are your thoughts on the fact that Bobby's waiting for his tax refund for his new computer purchase?
I apparently, allegedly, rumor has it, a little birdie told me, the IRS, that I owe them more money. I don't even know what this is about. I love the IRS. Oh, they're my favorite. This is round 3 with me and them. This is fun, and you can't beat them. Look at it. I mean, look at this. You have a hardworking, tax-paying citizen and the U.S. federal government, and he laughs at the taxpayer. This is what this country has done. They made us hate our own people. I'm battling the IRS, which is to say nothing but blunt force, and he's rooting for blunt force to be a hardworking taxpayer. This is where we're at. Not tax evasion. People
That's true. I agree with that.
And Mike PBM, if you're still listening, I need you to ask Rick DiPietro this question. It's very important. 20 years ago, I was living in Brooklyn. I had this roommate, and my gym was in Westbury, and there was this pet store in East Meadow. And I went to buy this Bulldog. I was going to buy this Bulldog, but I had to check with my roommate first. So I drive back to Brooklyn, get my roommate, drive back to East Meadow to buy the dog. In the hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever I was gone, they said Rick DiPietro came in and bought the Bulldog. I didn't buy the story then.
Oh, wow.
I need you to ask Rick DiPietro if he had a Bulldog 20 years ago. About 20 years ago. About 2006. Ask him if he had a Bulldog. I need to know if the story is true. I didn't believe the story then. So in the 2 hours I was gone, the goalie for the Islanders, which is like the only hockey player I can name, came into this store and bought the Bulldog that I was going to buy. Not buying the story. Mike, I need you to ask if he had a Bulldog.
Jake, I got one more question.
All right.
Who's on
Yes, Bob?
today's afternoon show with you? Who's on tonight afternoon? Is that Nick Ferrier?
It's a surprise.
Okay.
Black Gypsy, why should I pay my taxes? Because they'll threaten to kill me if I don't. That's why I should just give in and surrender and give them what they want. That's
Well,
what I
you're
should
supposed
do,
to pay your taxes, Gary.
Why? Why am I supposed to pay my taxes? Why?
Because that's the law of the land. You got to pay, like, Caesar.
So because someone wrote it
to
down
Caesar,
on
whatever.
paper, then I have to. Because someone wrote words on paper, then I have to give you my money. What if I write words on paper?
Well,
Will you give me money? I'm
It's not
supposed to pay
legislated.
taxes?
No, you're not.
You're supposed-
you're
I
not.
legislated it myself. I made myself king, and I said you owe me money. The only
Yeah.
reason why you pay taxes is because they'll kill you if you don't.
King
People
Gary.
with guns will show up at your house and they will take you away.
They
and they will
don't
throw
kill
you
you
in
if you don't
jail.
pay.
No, okay, hear me out, Bobby.
They would not.
If you don't
They work
stop.
with you.
They
work
absolutely will. What? They
They'll
work with
throw you
to
in
make
jail.
pay them. And what happens if they come to take you and throw you in jail and you say, no, I don't want to go to jail, and you fight them off? They will kill you, correct? Okay, so they will kill you if you don't pay your taxes. That's the only reason why you pay your taxes.
No. They'll throw you in jail if you don't pay your taxes.
Okay,
if you
Jake,
if you avoid going to jail or resist arrest, then it could lead to potential violence.
Right. So ultimately, if you don't want to pay your
No.
taxes, I just want to stay in my house and keep my money that I made. They will ultimately kill you if you resist what they are asking you to do. Correct?
So are you
they work
anti-paying
with
all
you now.
taxes?
Taxation is theft, Jake. It's like saying, are you opposed to making love to your rapist? Like, no, it's a contradiction in terms. You don't pay taxes; they take them under brute force. You don't pay them like you pay a bill at a restaurant. If you don't pay them,
Jake.
they will
I'll
kill
talk to
you.
you
Hi,
later.
Bobby.
Taxation is theft. Period.
Rick
That's
says,
not
I
even
think
a
we'd be
debate.
safer with you behind bars.
But then who's going to pay the taxes to put me behind bars? You see what
Barbarossa
I'm
says
saying?
you
This
won't
is a
be
racket.
killed.
What was that?
Barbarossa says they will not kill you.
Because he's an idiot. If I say I don't want to, if they go to take me and throw me in a cage because I want to keep my money that I earned, and I say, no, don't touch me, and I fight him off, they will kill me. If Barbarossa doesn't understand that, he's an idiot and shouldn't be around other people's children because he's a danger to everyone. He's a tax collector. I'm a taxpayer.
Nate says you'll pave the 3 roads you use to keep them clean.
Gary, yeah, if you want to put a toll on a road, that's one thing. Taking money out of my paycheck under brute force is quite another. If you want to put a toll on a road and you want to use the road, pay the toll. That's understandable.
So you believe that no one should have to pay any taxes that lives in the United States?
Taxation is theft, period. If you think theft is immoral, taxation is immoral. Do you think theft is immoral?
I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay, what makes it not theft?
I don't believe paying taxes is the same as robbing someone. I think it's
How is
different.
it not? How is it not theft? What is it voluntary?
Well, it's legislated by elected officials who put it into law, which is
Right,
not
so
the
if I
same
wrote-
thing as
if I
someone
wrote-
showing up to a grocery store and robbing the cashier
Because
money.
somebody wrote it down on paper. So somebody wrote words down on paper. Now you have to pay me money.
that was voted on by the people.
People don't vote on taxes. You get your taxes raised all the time. There's tax increases all the time that people don't vote for. There's people raise taxes all the time. You don't get to vote on it.
You don't think this is it's not the same thing what you're describing.
It's exactly the same thing. They take money until they decide they've taken enough money, and if you don't pay it, they throw you in jail. If you don't want to go to jail, they'll kill you.
But they can't just increase taxes randomly. Like there's a system in place that legislates how much you're taxed at a certain point. They can't just wake up one day
depends on
and
the
say, "Hey,
jurisdiction.
Gary, here's I'm showing up at your door. Give me another $1,000." Getting robbed is someone showing up and holding a gun to your face and
When
saying,
did I agree?
"Hey,
When did I agree to their?
you
tax
live in
code?
this country, you pay taxes."
Says okay. So I live.
Says
in
the
United
law.
States. So the law. Okay, good. What's the law? What words people wrote on paper. So if I wrote words on paper and then put a gun to your head, I say, this is the law. You have to pay this. Is that the new law?
How do you live life the way you live life?
I use logic and reason and I think things out. You just accept things. I say, wait a second, because you wrote words on
You're
paper. Now I have to
comparing
pay
an
money?
armed robbery to paying taxes.
Armed robbery and paying taxes is it's not similar. It's exactly the same thing. I don't volunteer to do this. I don't want to do this. You're making me do this at a threat of violence. That's it. You're making me pay taxes under a threat of violence. How is that not armed robbery? How is it different? If I don't pay this money, you will send people to my house with guns, correct? They've done it before. So how is that not armed robbery? If I say, Jake, buy this candy bar, I'm going to give you this candy bar, but buy this candy bar for whatever I tell you to pay for it. If you don't, I'm going to send men with guns to your house. You're going to buy the
Brian
candy
says,
bar, right?
I volunteer to send this clip to the IRS.
You can send it. I'm going to end up paying the money because it's not worth dying over. Because they're willing to kill me and I'm not willing to kill them. That's
No
why I'm gonna pay
taxes
the money.
equals no
But
armed
you
forces
should not pay your
disability.
taxes. What was that?
No armed forces disability. That's where these taxes, that's where money goes to. How do you think the police and firemen,
We had
military?
armed forces way before we had a federal income tax. That is nonsense. We didn't have a federal income tax for most of this country's history. We always had armed forces.
So do you think we'd have the strongest
No,
army
it's
in the
not.
world?
What you're saying, we had Jake. Do you know when we got a federal income tax? You know what year it was?
What year?
It was in the 1900s. I want to say it was 1919, 1913, 1913. So
do you think we'd have the strongest army in the world without paying taxes?
We already did. Yes, the answer is yes.
No, we would not.
We already did though.
So
Before
we'd have-
1913, we
We'd
had
have
the
like a
strongest
militia,
military in the
people just
world.
volunteering.
What was that? Jake, there's other ways to generate money other than
Barbarossa says, Gary's lost me. I can't support a commie. Barbarossa says, not true. Federal income tax was 1862.
Okay, you can look it up. It's the 16th Amendment. You can look it up. Like, I don't make this stuff up. It was 1913. We didn't have a federal income tax for most of this country. We did have an income tax for a year or two during Civil War, and it was 1%, and it was completely eradicated and found unconstitutional immediately after. We did not have a federal income tax until 1913.
Curly says, you like roads, Gary? How about ambulances? Taxes pay for services for the public.
Yeah, that is such cope. We had roads before we had a federal income tax. We had ambulances before we have a federal income tax. You can have all of these things voluntarily. And you know this, Jake.
Doc Jetfin says the betting odds on FanDuel just dramatically changed on Gary's second round matchup.
Look at you. You people are sick. You're rooting for the armed mob over the hardworking individual. The armed mob that will kill you if you don't give them their money. You're rooting for them. Sick. You guys root for the IRS and a federal tax suit. You guys are sick. Are you guys rooting for the IRS to keep the? Are you guys rooting for the federal government in their battle with the TSA agents too? Screw the TSA agents; they don't get paid. Like, you guys are sick.
He says,
look who you're rooting for. You're rooting for the armed mob. What's the difference between the government and the mafia? The mafia has a code of ethics.
Ladies and gentlemen, for more on this, we say hello to the man himself.
Just listening to a band called Pig Destroyer. Murmurs all that the behind. So waiting to die. You do they know your choice supplies. La Puerta Negra.
Because you need winners like me. For every loser out there that lives up the federal government, you need winners like me that pay your money. The government can't exist without winners like me. Proceed.
Beast is taking a Renzel right now. I just heard him say it.
What am I wrong about, King? Tell me what I'm wrong about. What have I factually gotten wrong? Right? Barbarossa, the moron, said we had a federal income tax in 1960 since 1962, which we did not. It was 1913. And he teaches children. I would love to know what class he teaches. Get my kid out of that class, right? And I have to pay money for him to be an idiot and teach kids. This is a good system. This is a good system.
Dave Briggs says, Gary, get your Bible out and read Romans.
Let's do
13.
let's do it. Let's do it, Dave. Let's do it. Let Dave on. I voted for you, Dave. God bless you. Let's have a Bible study. God said, "The gold and silver is mine," says it the Lord. So who does? Taxes too? Who owns gold and silver? God does.
Oh yeah.
This is where your taxes are going to, Gary. Take a look.
Yeah, well, I don't give a rat's ass about him because, first of all, he knows how to insult the disability kind, the 4%ers, because he thinks he's Mr. Big Shot. Well, let me give you a little history lesson, Mr. Big Shot. You sure know everything, don't you, little man?
We had a military before we had a federal income tax. The cult has got to stop. It's like one shot. It's like Stockholm syndrome. They got you at gunpoint and you're coping for them.
Gary's brains are on Mars. Gary's brains are on Mars. Danger, danger. Gary's brains are on Mars. Gary's brains are on Mars.
For every beast, you need winners like me to make his life possible.
No, you don't. You are no winner in my back pocket, Pally. You're more like second best in my back pocket because
I pay your
when
bills.
it comes to conditioning, when it comes to life, you sure know how to kick people down. And then
did you wash your hands after you took a leak?
You want women to vacuum and all this and that. Let me give you a history lesson, Vato. You don't know your ass from your elbow, or you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. Because as far as I know, history has always said you can't score the big one, and I'm talking the cha-ching. You can't do that, Pally. The only thing that separates men from the boys, you're talking to a star, and I look at a wimp. 100 pounds another. Oh, excuse me, my phone's about to come out. Oh, hello, Cacao. Hello. He says he knows you. You're nothing. Yeah. Don't laugh at the Rock's jokes. You're talking to a man who's done more than what you can't do. The only thing you separate yourself from is when you're scoring with a Cabbage Patch doll. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Cabbage Patch dolls with Vaseline. Yeah. You sure know how to go. I'm putting icy hot on my back. This will take off the pain and the blemishes.
Hell, stop.
Incredible. As much as I enjoyed Gary trying to fight the IRS live on the air, I'm going to get caught up on some super chats here. Big Fella says, put Bobby in the raffle. Big Fella will make it happen. AP, Carlos Reyes, that's Carlos the Barber, said Bobby T. I guess that was during the Bobby Toe call. So I love this type of comment too, by the way. Mike writes in, Jake, the Mannings will not allow the Jets to draft Arch. I don't care who your source is. You're too young to understand the dynamics of the family. I don't use this term lightly, but this is the only way I can respond to such an asinine comment. Dipshit. It's not my source. I had Gary Myers on, who talks to the Manning family directly, saying that Arch is not going to do what Eli Manning did to the Chargers. He's getting that directly from Cooper and Eli and Peyton. We had the guy on who is presenting Eli to the Hall of Fame every year and knows the Manning family. Watch the interview. Don't say I'm too young to understand the dynamics of the family. 1, I'm not. 2, go F yourself. And 3, Gary Myers is not too young. He knows. So please, I cannot. I can only be politically correct for so long. You are a dipshit. And I can say this here because I can't say it on radio because of FCC violations. Enough. God. Ladies and gentlemen, Doc Jet Fan in the house. He has gifted 5 channel memberships. Hit it, Woody.
I hug him every day. I hug him every day.
Woody hugging Arch when they draft him first overall. Mike Bushik. Super Chats cut the line. Do what David does. Says, Gary's right. Federal tax is supposed to be temporary. Okay, so we just never should pay any taxes, though. Gary says no taxes for all. Mike D's nuts. I read this or put it up on the screen. He said Beast definitely didn't wash his hands. That we don't know. Doc Jet Fan with a super chat. I finally unruffled Mrs. Doc's feathers with regards to super chat charges. She's mad at me again, having overheard this tax conversation. Can't win. I was going to say, Doc, I saw you gifting the memberships, and I'm like, uh-oh. Is Mrs. Doc Jet Fan going to approve? Aunt Bank says, thankfully, the idiot convention is over. Oh, man. All right. Home stretch of the show. Make sure you get your calls in. I wanted to get to our guy, Tommy OG, who has called in. Tommy, you're in a tough one right now against One Punch Dave Brigga, but you have earned the right to be in this tournament and present your case to the Asmaniac community.
What's up, Jake? Can you hear me all right?
Sure.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. I just wanted to call in, right, and say I got nothing but much respect. There's no way I can disrespect Mr. Dave Brigga, One Punch Brigga. It's an honor to go against the legend. If I wasn't going against him, I would have voted him all the way, top 4 easily. I can't, BS and shit on the man. He's a legend. I got nothing but respect. The little 25%. What's the vote right now, Jake? Is it 75-25?
76-24.
All right. The 24 is probably all my people that I told to vote for me. It was still a pleasure and an honor. Is Mr. Brigga on by any chance?
He is not. He was unable to call in today. He called in yesterday.
Yes, he's working. Yeah, he said that. Yep. I'll go down like this. I'm a diehard Jet. I love your show, Jake, and it was an honor to be in here. My little character, Mr. Gator McCluskey, did a great job. It was fun. Mr. Brigg is a great caller. I got nothing but respect, and to lose to a man with achievement and honor like that, I'll go down, with the shit, man. Jake, have a great show. God bless you all. JETS, Jets, baby. Let's go.
Asmaniac Madness is underway. Make sure you vote to make your voice heard.
What a call. Tommy, well done. No shame in losing to One Punch Dave Brigga. All right. Get to your last couple calls here shortly, but I wanted to play something that I pulled because we've been talking a lot about Ty Simpson. Here's Dan Orlovsky with a little tape breakdown of Ty. We'll play it and then react, get to your last calls. And, of course, if you want to enter the raffle for the Sack Exchange autograph jersey, make sure you do so.
Prepare, communicate, operate, and execute. I just think it's harder to do this better. Big-time quarterback play. Motion in. Okay, and now he's going to communicate to everybody in his offense. Hey, something's going on with our play. We're good. We got package plays. Wait, here I see rotation down. Now that indicator, that safety dropping down tells him something. Let's change stuff. I'm going to re-change who we're going to go to as an offensive line. That's what he's doing there when he points to the line of scrimmage. He's changing the protection responsibilities. He's communicating. He's making sure the back knows. And now he's going to get that pressure, and he's going to start. So you see pressure go here and here. He's going to start up top, 5-step drop out of the gun on a deep curl route, feels that defender drop underneath that throwing lane, reset quickly at the top of the drop to the backside now, all the way across, ball out now. When the receiver's at the top of his cut, he's cutting his ball loose from the 28. So let's call it 10, 20, 25 plus yards downfield. Watch the communication. Watch the operation. Move the back. Hey, we're good. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. We're good. Now he feels, okay, that there's something going on here. Something going on here. Hey, re-mic. Tell the offensive line to go to a certain player. Tell the back you got a certain responsibility. Watch his eyes. Okay, look at his eyes. Let's start to our left right now, his right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Feels this defender drift underneath. What's the second option? Quick reset. Ball has to come out.
Again, Orlovsky likes him a lot. I like Ty. It's just 16th overall is a big investment. I don't feel comfortable doing it with so few starts. Second round, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And they take him at 33. I would understand it. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Phil D'Angelo. He sent me a Venmo to enter the raffle for 4 entries. His caption, Gary's tax bill, LOL. Phil, appreciate the Venmo, my man. You're in the raffle for 4. We're going to do that in the afternoon today for the Sack Exchange jersey. Give people 2 shows since it's a big prize on a football Friday. It looks like we are caught up on the super chats. Outstanding. Let's head to Australia now. AJF is standing by. Hello, AJF.
What's up, Jake? I got a few things to talk about. Before I respond to the whole thing about Gary, I'm gonna announce the Asmaniac offensive lineup that I created with the help of Jets Jesus and the big fella. So at center, we have the man himself, Beast Breaker. At right guard, we have Neil. At left guard, we have Big Cho. And at right tackle, Rob the Jet fan. And then at left tackle, we have the big fella. Now, moving on to the skill positions. At quarterback, we have the Asmaniac legend, Charles Gorman. We have the lane train at running back. He's going to be hard to stop. At fullback, PBM, he's built. At wide receiver, Jets Jesus. He's so fast he can run on water. At wide receiver 2, we have Mad Max. If your defense is an orange brick wall, watch out. And then at tight end, we have Luppy. And that's the offense. Obviously, you're the head coach, and we have Chuck Wagon as the OC.
I like what you're doing there, AJF. I do.
The defense and special teams will be next. But I also wanted to ask.
Why Gorman at quarterback, though? I was trying to figure out if you were going to say anything. What has Charles Gorman done to display the leadership required to play the most important position in sports?
I think he, it's sort of hard to explain.
Are we marching for Arch in the Asmaniac league too? Is that the plan here?
I just think that Charles Gorman, he's playing quarterback is his superpower. I think it was the big fella's idea, and I trust the big fella. He knows ball.
He's just trying to get us the tank.
But I wanted to know what you thought about the Jets cameo in the new Spider-Man trailer.
I saw an image of it, right? There's like a girl wearing like a Jet t-shirt.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. That was like when I watched the trailer, that was the main thing that caught my eye, the fact that the Jets were in it. But now onto Gary. So his argument is that the government taking tax is theft, right? And he thinks that paying taxes shouldn't matter because we said, or you guys said it's a law, but to him, a law is just something someone wrote on paper, right? So if that's true, then Gary doesn't believe in law. So that means that Gary thinks that you should be able to actually steal and rob, and that shouldn't be illegal because someone just wrote it down on paper. So in reality, he's contradicting himself by saying that taxation is theft because he thinks that theft shouldn't be illegal because it's just written down on a piece of paper as a law, the same as taxation.
I guess. I don't know. I can't get inside the mind of Gary.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. He's contradicting himself. Gary, you're crazy. Look, if he wants to believe that...
And he's on mute.
Chat, let me address this. Okay. I'll make it clear, and then you can tell me whether it's contradicting. Taking something you have no right to via force is theft. That is what taxation is. You have no legitimate claim to what I produce, but you take it by force. That, by definition, is theft. Now, you explain to me
Why?
where.
Because someone wrote it down on a piece of paper?
Question. I'll give you all the time you need. You explain to me where in that sentence there's a contradiction.
Well, your point is that it's the law. Why is it the law? Because someone wrote it down on a piece of paper. What makes theft illegal besides the fact that someone wrote it down on a piece of paper?
I didn't say, well, I didn't say theft was illegal. I asked you about you're asking me a question. You're supposed to be answering the question. You said I committed a contradiction. Okay, great. Taking things by force is theft. Where's the contradiction in my statement? If there's not one, just say there's not one. And let's cut to the chase. Is there any contradiction in my statement? If so, what is it?
No, not in that statement.
Okay, so you called up Jake's show to say I made a contradiction, and then when I asked what the contradiction is, you said there's no contradiction, and then called me names.
But you
Jake,
just,
and this is why I can only talk to smart people.
So Gary's just interrupting. He's just yelling now. He's just
because
yelling.
I asked you, you called up to say I committed a contradiction. When asked what the contradiction was, you go, "Oh, there is no contradiction." I can't deal with this.
You asked me if there was a contradiction in the statement.
There's no
is
contradiction.
Theft taking something by force, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say your contradiction was in that statement. I said your contradiction
That's the only statement that I made.
You said that paying tax, you said that we shouldn't pay tax because it's just written down on a piece of paper. You know what I mean? You're saying that the law doesn't matter because it's just written down on a piece of paper.
I didn't say it didn't matter. I never said, no, I did not say that. I never said it didn't matter. I said, what is law?
That's what you inferred.
I'm asking a question.
That's what you
is law just words written on paper? Is that all the law is? You tell me.
Yes.
It's a question.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, so if I write words on paper that say I don't have to pay taxes, that's the new law, correct? Because I just wrote it on paper.
You don't have that jurisdiction.
Where does that jurisdiction come from?
The American government.
The American government gives itself its own jurisdiction. That's circular.
I'm not American, so I can't give you.
You don't have to be. So
you're
an Australian. Where does Australia's government give it to themselves because they're willing to kill you? That's it. The only reason why you surrender to them and not to anyone else is because they're willing to use force. That's it.
So what's your point?
That's my point, right?
I'm
so
like Taxation. All you delusional Jets fans straight. Your takes make me want to punch you in the face or kick you in the crotch. When this team sucks, they suck. I'm like Gypsy. I'm like Gypsy. I'm like Gypsy. I'm like Gypsy.
Gary.
I'd rather do this with you. What up, Black Gypsy? How are you, my dude? What's up?
Bro, pay your taxes. The only reason the IRS come after you is because you didn't declare all the money that you made.
I don't even, the first two times they came after me, I knew exactly what it was. Once was money I'd made in a different country, which why would they have any claim to that? I knew what it was. And the second time it was a state thing. I knew what that was too. This time I legitimately don't know what it is, Black Gypsy. I clearly am on some type of list and they coming after me.
You are, because if you've been spotted once and twice, then every time you do a tax return, they're looking at everything that you put in and said you made, and obviously you made more than you put in. So that's the reason why they're there. Now, as for your law concerns, laws are a part of society. Paying taxes are a part of society. The rules were made to help benefit us and benefit.
So let me ask you a question. Do we have a society prior to 1913? If so, how?
Yeah,
we didn't have an income tax until 1913. So did we have a society prior to 1913?
The Romans did certain things back in the day also. We live in today's time.
You're not answering the question. We had a society prior to a federal income tax, which means you can have a society without having a federal income tax.
Okay, so those roads that were built back then weren't built by the government. They weren't built for us to be on the highways. The bridges.
We don't need government.
Yes, we do. Yes, we. So
you don't need government. Hang on, stop. Let me nip down the bun. I'll let you go. Right. So I go to a church. I go to a small church now, but I used to go to a church that had 30,000 people. It had paved roads. It had agriculture. It had its own police force, right? It had its own security. It had all of those things that a society needs without ever putting a gun to anyone's head and saying we need to tax you. So it built everything you could possibly want. It had softball leagues. It had schools. It had everything you could want in the society without ever putting a gun to someone's head. So to say we need taxation to have these things, that we can't do these things peacefully and voluntarily is demonstrably false.
All right, so all I'm hearing is that you're mad that you didn't declare your taxes, and now they're fucking with you. So because you're mad that you didn't pay your taxes, now we don't need government, we don't need taxes.
Yeah, but that's just you're just appealing to emotion because you can't actually make an argument. Right?
Gary, I'm not appealing to emotion. I'm saying
you're
what
saying
happens.
Mad is an emotion. What did I say?
Gary, you are
wrong?
mad. You're mad that you're being.
Let's say I concede all of that. Now deal with my argument.
How can you concede what you just said? What's your look? So factually, let's go facts. You didn't pay your taxes correctly, so they're coming after you. And you're
they claim that. They claim I didn't pay my taxes. That's their claim.
You said it to us. You made money overseas, and they taxed you for it.
That was the last time I battled them, and I paid.
Still,
right?
so 2 strikes down. On your 3rd review, they're looking at you. You're a troublemaker, so the IRS is looking at you.
I'm troublemaker because I don't let people rob me. Do you say this to a young lady who's being raped and she fights off the rape?
Those two don't compare. The IRS isn't robbing you. The IRS isn't robbing you, Gary. You cheated on your taxes, and the IRS are coming after you. That's it. There's no one out there to be blamed. Blame yourself. You didn't report your.
You're making a claim. How did I cheat on my taxes?
You told us you didn't report that you made money overseas.
Not the last time.
Okay, so because you were a troublemaker twice before, now you're on the list of troublemakers, and they're looking at you because you made yourself a target. You're a target, and you're mad at being a target.
That's not the argument. The argument is that taxation is theft. How is it not theft?
Taxation is not theft, bro. It's been a part of our.
Just because it's been a part of our society for 110 years doesn't mean it's not theft. It's still theft.
Your church built roads. Your church built roads for a small community, right? Now, for a state, is your church going to build roads for the whole state? Is it going to build hospitals? Is it going to build bridges? Is it going to do all that stuff?
Yes. Let me answer the question. Interesting question. I live in a state, the best state in the country, that has no federal income tax. You live in you live in Florida. You don't live in Jersey. Jake lives in a dysfunctional state with the highest income rate. You live in a state that has no income tax, bro. So you know that is possible because you live it.
And I live here for a reason, all right? But when taxes do come and they say I have to pay it, bro.
You don't get state income taxes, and I don't get state income taxes, and somehow everyone is moving to those states from the states that have high income taxes. Why is that?
You're hilarious, bro. You're hilarious, bro. You never concede to being wrong. You literally made trouble, got yourself in trouble, and then you're mad about you being in trouble. Had you paid your taxes the first 2 times, you would not be on the list for the 3rd time.
Why would I pay my taxes? Why would I pay my taxes? Why would I do that?
Because it's a part of the law. The law is the law, bro. Pay your taxes. It is what it is. There's laws we don't like, but you're still a part of society.
In Nazi Germany, it was illegal to hide Jews.
We are not Nazi Germany. Stop making these bad comparisons. So paying taxes now is so paying taxes now is being a Nazi and a rapist.
Stop. Your logical entailment is because it's the law, you should do it. That's your logical entailment, correct?
Are you a law-abiding citizen, Gary?
Yes or no?
Are you a law? Answer my question. Are you a law-abiding citizen?
Well, that depends on whose law you're talking about.
Okay, so then do you recognize our law?
I recognize God's law and everything else.
Okay, then move the fuck out of the United States. Then, if you don't want to recognize the law and pay the taxes,
I own property
then move,
here.
bro.
That's the rule. I love this country.
Those are the rules. Pay your taxes, bro. End of conversation. This conversation is done. You're mad about you making a mistake.
You never explained how
you're mad about if this is a boxing match, Gary. Gary, if this was a boxing match,
you're a female.
Gary, if this was a boxing match, you pulled yourself up, went into the ring to fight, and then you're mad that everybody was like, Gary is oiled up extra to be in the fight. Gary, you're insane. You're insane.
No point ever address the argument. Good. And that being said, you never address my argument because you can't.
What was your argument? Your argument is that you didn't pay your taxes, and now you're mad that they're asking you for not paying your taxes.
Listen, and all you did was appeal to emotion like a woman because you're feminine. That's all you did.
I'm feminine, Gary.
Yeah.
I'll call you right now. I'm in Florida. I will box you any day you want, and I will slaughter you, bro. I will slaughter you, bro. Stop calling people feminine. Stop calling people feminine. It's a dirty shot that you do. It's a dirty shot that you do. If you're going to argue with me, argue with me on facts. Don't call
I
me
said
feminine because I'm not
I'll do
feminine.
whatever I want to do.
Garrett, I went to the military.
I said
I learned how to
feminine.
whoop
I don't
ass.
care.
Like I can beat your ass at
You still
any time,
argue like a
bro.
woman. You
Stand
still
up.
argue like
Stand up with me.
let's-
Yo, oh, I would love
let's say
to
that
catch
was
you.
true.
Yo,
Let's say
if
that
there's
was true.
ever an
You still
Asmaniac
argue
meetup,
like a
Gary,
woman.
I am whooping your ass.
Good,
If you want to
good,
see me
let's do that.
feminine,
Let's do
the
that.
second we meet in person, bro,
Good.
I am
You can do that.
dog
See?
shit out of you, bro.
You
Call
should
me
do that.
feminine. Like you,
I just
you
did.
are the
You
one.
can call
You
me all-
argue
you
like
can
a
call
girl
me all
more
day.
than anybody else in the chat. And to prove
You
your
still
point,
haven't addressed the argument. You
a girl
still
is
have
going
not
to
had the
beat
balls
you
to-
in the next challenge.
You
Amanda
still don't
is
have-
going to
You
whoop
still
your
don't have the
ass.
balls.
Do you know why she's gonna whoop your
You
ass,
still don't
Gary?
have the balls. I
Because
don't care.
you,
I don't care.
it's funny.
I don't
Amanda is
care.
the man in the battle, and you're gonna be the female.
Awesome.
By your
And you
definition.
still- and that's awesome. And you still haven't addressed my argument because you can't.
I addressed your argument. You're
No,
wrong.
you
Pay your
didn't. You
taxes.
said you're mad. You
Stop
said you're
being a
mad. You're
scumbag.
wrong.
Stop being a scumbag and pay your
So
taxes.
you can call names.
So,
you can call me.
so,
you can
so,
call me
so,
sexist. You
so
can
you
call me
haven't paid your
homophobic.
taxes three
You can
times
call me
correctly
all
in a
these
row,
names, but as
and
soon
you're
as I
mad
call
at the
you a name
government
back,
that
you
you
get
didn't pay
triggered.
your taxes, and we're supposed to be like, oh, we're on Gary's side. Pay your taxes.
Now look what you've done, Gary. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give them another 24 hours to think about it.
Asmaniac Madness is underway. Make sure you vote to make your voice heard.
Wow. That was something. Frank P., I'm just surprised it didn't happen sooner. I sent Gary to the hole. Brian wanted to send Gary to the basement. $20 won't cut it. 50 will on this show. That's a bounty, baby. Unreal. Frank, 10 raffle tickets for you. Brian, 4 for you. And Banks, how are they taking taxes by force? LOL. What? Ted in the raffle for 4. Gary, 100% accurate on the IRS. Joe Citizen versus IRS Citizen is dead meat. What a show this has been. Man, that was something. And I'll tell you what, if we get the matchup that many want in Asmaniac Madness, that will be a battle of all battles between Gary and Black Gypsy. They could potentially meet in the Elite Eight for a spot in the Final Four. Gypsy, the 2 seed in the region. Gary, the 1 seed. Unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, that's Asmaniac Madness, right? And right now it's time to declare a winner. It's a rout. One Punch Dave Brigga is moving on to the round of 32. Dave 75, Tommy OG Jet Fan 25. 373 votes were cast. Congrats to One Punch Dave Brigga on the victory. Dave unable to call in. He said he had to attend a funeral today, so obviously thoughts are with Dave Brigga. But Dave Brigga's moving on, and he has advanced to the round of 32. So it's Brigga versus the Chuck Wagon in the next round. This afternoon, it's a battle featuring the 6 seed JJ and the 11 seed Lou B. Stick around for that. It is going to be a blast. Super chat at the end here. Aussie Jet Fan says, Amanda upsetting Gary, sending him back to the dark ages with his beliefs. What a show. I didn't think Gary would be anti-paying taxes and try and compare it to rape or armed robbery. He always just goes too far. He can't, he has a principal argument and just can never just level with the person he's arguing with. It's amazing. On that note, that does it for me. Let me plug the show again. Brand new project. Me, Samini, and Tierney starting this Tuesday. The Jets Collective, a new weekly Jets roundtable that will be on a brand new YouTube channel that you need to subscribe to. The link is in the description. I'll post it again in the live chat. We're already over 400 subscribers, and we're not doing our first show till Tuesday. So big thank you to all the Asmaniacs who have already jumped on board. You guys are the best. Thanks again to Gary Myers for hopping on. We're back this afternoon. I'm sure there'll be more fireworks because that's what happens around here. I will talk to you guys soon. As always, go Jets, and I'll play you out with a video that kind of encapsulates everything that's great about this show. Sit back, enjoy it, and as always, go Jets.
Hey, look, soy boy. Do I need to remind you where you came from, Estevato, with those ugly up cornrows?
You act like a child because you still haven't hit puberty. When was the last time you took a shower? When are you going to get a new t-shirt on? Did you brush your teeth this morning?
Because I look twice as sexy than your sorry ass. You filthy little degenerate. You're a straight up asshole. Have you ever been in a mosh pit?
Answer a question. Your inability to stay focused whatsoever, combined with being 200 pounds overweight, not being able to get out of your house. Do you think that's related to your diet or not?
You really got some balls, don't you, you little
I'm
bastard?
asking you a question. Do you think it's related to your diet? Yes or no?
I look good. I look just as good. All you're just doing is blowing smoke up my ass, act like you're God's gift to the United States. When it comes to fourth down, you punt the ball. On fourth down, what I do, I like to ram it down people's throats. That's my job.
Right? You're a young man. You're the same age as me. I think you're younger than me. You don't need to live this way. You really don't.
I got to deal with one guy that looks like a fruitcake from the Eddie Murphy movie when Eddie Murphy said, "What are them dreadlocks and they some shit lost."
Even though you look like a butterball turkey, I do love you.
What the hell did you say, clown boy?
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.